Trevor Lawrence is generational. You hear this all the time. You hear this ad nauseum. It's constantly brought to you in every broadcast that in every game that he's ever played in. But it's simply not true. And if you want to stay with the line that the talking heads have handed you that he is generational, the next 2 games, if he gets past Ohio State, are going to be huge for that stance. Now, he's going to be quarterback 1. We're not debating that he's good. He's a very good prospect, and I would put him at this point in time ahead of Zach Wilson, even though the difference between the two is far less than people think it is. But to be generational, you have to have special traits. There are certain traits that allow a quarterback to elevate his game to an elite level. And you have to check those max boxes if you're going to be a generational quarterback. And Trevor Lawrence hasn't shown that at this point at all. So while the book has been written on Wilson, Fields, Mac Jones, and Trask for weeks now, we knew exactly what they were. Trevor Lawrence's next 2 games, again, if he gets past Ohio State, are going to be big defining games for him to show what he has shown that he is lacking. If he doesn't, then this is a whole lot of hype that you don't need to buy into because it's not real. 2 traits that can push the game in your favor as a quarterback on the physical side of the quarterback's position are the arm talent and the athleticism. Lawrence doesn't grade elite in either of these areas. Now, he's good in both, absolutely good in both. But in his short area passing game, he is not best in class. He's actually 3rd. And in his deep ball, he's still 2nd behind Trey Lance. Trey Lance, arm talent, wins the show. But we're not talking about a quarterback who has a Josh Allen arm. We aren't talking about a quarterback who has a Patrick Mahomes arm or Matt Stafford arm. We're talking about a quarterback who is debatable in Justin Herbert territory when it comes to just arm talent. That's not elite. That's very good. Athleticism pluses come when you have the elite athleticism. You look over at Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Kyler Murray. Those are the quarterbacks who have that elite gains on their athleticism. You know Trevor Lawrence isn't that guy. 2 more traits on the functional part of a quarterback's profile can push you towards elite. You have pocket mobility, which is where Trevor Lawrence shines brightest of all traits. It's a good trait to have. He moves very well in the pocket. He's able to buy himself time. His awareness is acceptable. It's not high-end great, but it is very good. So in those areas, you see a lot of very good showing up. The other functional asset or area that a quarterback can become elite in is with their off-platform mechanics. I call them adaptable mechanics. In pocket's ideal, off platforms, adaptable mechanics. And Trevor Lawrence, he has a lot of different arm slots. He has the ability to throw on the move. But when you see the ball that comes out of those throws, it is not anywhere near grading elite. This is where Trevor Lawrence starts to slide. His adaptable mechanics are not elite. And you might be saying to yourself right now, this doesn't sound like the way other people evaluate quarterbacks. We have our own system for how we evaluate quarterbacks. We have been in the works. It's been in the works for 9 years. So go down below, hit subscribe, ring the bell, and we're going to be walking through this with every single prospect this offseason. This is going to be something you want to see. So as I said, go down below, hit subscribe, ring the bell. And if you want to know where we are on quarterbacks, go up to the banner on our profile, follow us on Twitter. We talk a lot of quarterbacks there. So at this point in time, you're looking at Trevor Lawrence and you're saying, okay, very good arm, very good mobility, very good pocket mobility. Off-platform throws are grading in a plus area. If everything's plus, where's the problem? Well, it's on the mental side of the game. The mental side of the game, Trevor Lawrence does not grade above Joe Burrow in any trait. Not one, and it's not debatable. Going one step further, Trevor Lawrence does not grade in the mental traits above Sam Darnold in any trait. Jets fans, they're incredibly irritated that they don't get Trevor Lawrence because they lost the 1 pick by winning a couple of games. Guess what? Sam Darnold grades ahead of Trevor Lawrence. And you're looking at the screen right now and saying, this fool's crazy. This fool's crazy. He just put Sam Darnold ahead of Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is generational. Well, I'm going to give you the exact things I want you to look for in this game that are going to prove my point. There are 3 mental traits that can push a quarterback into that elite area. The first one is tempo. The second one is ball placement. And the third is anticipation and vision. Anticipation and vision is when a quarterback's releasing the ball on the route. Now, you see regularly with Trevor Lawrence that he's throwing the ball after the break. He's not necessarily seeing the field through a wide lens. You can go to a Miami game where a DB caught under an out and he looked over at the wide receiver who was running the out and threw it straight to the DB. You have to see that. It wasn't even he got fooled. It was right there and he threw it right to him. Also against Notre Dame, they showed the pressure. The guy bailed out right under his one wide receiver early in the game, and he threw it right to the line, or right over the linebacker's head. He was able to jump up and knock it down or pick it off. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. You see these pop up on Lawrence's tape all the time. His field vision is condensed, and he won't be the only quarterback in the pro game who has this issue. But no quarterback in the pro game who is elite has this issue. The next mental trait that can bring a quarterback's level of play up dramatically is ball placement. Now, ball placement is accuracy plus spatial awareness. What this means is that it's great to grade high on an accuracy scale, but Josh Rosen graded very high on an accuracy scale and had 0 ball placement. And what I mean by that is he would throw the ball where it should go, not where it needs to go. So if a cornerback is running on the back shoulder of a wide receiver and you have to put the ball down towards the wide receiver's ankle so he goes down and gets it, and put a ball into play where the DB doesn't have a chance of knocking it down or taking it away, that is ball placement. Throwing the back shoulder throws, throwing the throws up over the boundary or the coverage leverage to the boundary. These are the throws that make a wide receiver open, even when they're covered. You'll hear all the time that people talk about, well, he's college open, he's NFL open. NFL open means that you have ball placement. That's specifically what it means. And when you look at Trevor Lawrence and look at his film, you do not see a lot of those high degree ball placement plus throws. You see a lot of accurate throws. And there is a difference between that, and that drags down your ability to attack a defense on the next level. The last mental trait that can dramatically increase your talents on the NFL level are tempo. And when we looked at Joe Burrow last year, what the massive upgrade in Joe Burrow's game was tempo. Because year 1, he was playing at an SEC speed. Year 2, he was playing well into NFL level speed. As the game sped up, he looked more comfortable. As the game got more chaotic, he processed quicker. It was simple for him. He saw everything. Trevor Lawrence has not shown this at this point in time. In fact, even this year when he played Miami, Clemson went very heavy screen, very heavy bubble, very heavy RPO. And the reason for that is because Miami actually challenged Clemson. And when Trevor Lawrence got sped up, it did not look good. Not as good as it does when he's playing against cupcakes. That's why this game is so important for Trevor Lawrence, because Ohio State and possibly Alabama, these are going to be the games that really test him. They're going to really speed up the game speed, and they're going to test to see if that tempo has made a jump. At this point in time, I do not see that it has. And your processing speed, once you leave college, is going to be the equivalent of your processing speed in the NFL. As quarterbacks come out of college with a high grading processing speed, they slow down when they hit the NFL because they are adjusting to the NFL, but they get back to the same level. Trevor Lawrence right now has to define what level of processing speed we will see at the NFL. And this is a very important part in the evaluation process. Justin Fields started this season off with 3 games where it looked like so many of his issues from the prior year had cleaned himself up. It looked like he was making that jump. And then he hit Indiana and played a real game. And all of those issues were still there, 100% still there. And that dramatically affected Justin Fields' grade. Northwestern doubled down on it and made it very clear that all the warts from the year before were still there this year in 2020, and they're going to be there going down the road. Overcoming those and changing those once you get to the NFL level is a Herculean task that rarely any quarterback is able to accomplish. So if you don't want to draft a quarterback where you're saying, I'm saying there's a chance, then you need to take one that's actually playing at the level you expect to see in the NFL. And that's what Trevor Lawrence has to define. Everybody's book is written except for Trevor Lawrence. Because there's a lot of things we know about Trevor Lawrence. There's a lot of things we knew about Trevor Lawrence the moment he stepped on the field. But there are question marks that he has to answer. And this is going to be a chance for him to answer those questions and silence the critics. And there aren't many. But there should be a lot more from the film that he's put on display at this point. So tonight, when you watch this game, look for the ball placement throws. Look for the throws that throw a wide receiver open away from coverage, that make a covered wide receiver open. Look for the anticipation and the vision, and that he's throwing the ball before a wide receiver is leaving his break, and that he doesn't have the condensed vision on a field. Because if that's still there, which it is, you're going to see those throws that Baker Mayfield gets plagued with, where he ends up throwing interceptions because he doesn't see people moving back into the play. And when the going gets tough, how is Trevor Lawrence's tempo? Because it's going to get harder for him in this game. It'll get harder for him against Alabama if he gets there. And we have to see how he processes a sped up game. Because at this point in time, Trevor Lawrence is much more similar to Ryan Tannehill, Jared Goff, and Mitchell Trubisky than he is to anybody who is considered elite. We're not saying that Trevor Lawrence is bad. He is absolutely quarterback one in this draft. He doesn't have the best arm talent. That's Trey Lance. He's the third best arm talent on the short and intermediate because Zach Wilson's arm talent in the short and intermediate is better. He might have the best mobility in the class, though, and he moves in the pocket better than anybody in the class. He doesn't win any of the mental traits. Not one. Ball placement, 100% is Zach Wilson, number one. Anticipation, Mac Jones, number one. Although that is Mac Jones' only positive trait. Only real plus trait is anticipation. And tempo? No. He can't win tempo. He beats Fields. He doesn't necessarily beat Zach Wilson, and none of these quarterbacks show that elite level tempo. At one point in this year, I heard people saying that there were 6 first-round quarterbacks. We're talking about 3, depending on if Ritter's coming or not. Ritter, we haven't written the book on Ritter yet, but there are 3. People were saying there's 6. So what I'm telling you is this draft class, they want it to be the draft classes of the last few years. 2017, 2018, 2019 actually had a ton of talent. Even though a number of quarterbacks washed out, you're looking at Mahomes, Watson, Josh Allen's played extremely well. Sam Darnold is going to prove every hater wrong. Lamar Jackson is a high-quality quarterback. Burrow is an incredibly talented quarterback who's just getting started. Kyler Murray is a phenomenal quarterback who is just getting started. So we've had a string of classes that had incredible talent in them. This class is way oversold. It just simply is. The talent in this class, they're just expecting everybody to be a first-round pick, and it just doesn't show up on film. So while Trevor Lawrence is quarterback one, it's kind of by default. It's not Tua Tagovailoa, who was quarterback number 1 from the moment he took over in the national championship game, who ended up getting passed by Burrow and having more questions asked about him. Nobody's come out of the woodwork to unseat Trevor Lawrence. It wasn't an impossible task, but no one has done it. So Trevor Lawrence likely goes number 1 to Jacksonville, and Jacksonville will be better for it because the quarterbacks they have are deplorable. But the fact that Trevor Lawrence is unquestioned doesn't make him generational. The film has to make him generational, and it doesn't. So look for those 3 key areas tonight, and you'll be better off for it. I love you guys. We need you. Stay strong, and I'll see you on the other side.